and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have the minutes from the February 9th meeting. Do we have any changes? Are they good to go?
These are updated with amounts, and I would move that we approve the minutes.
Okay, I'll second that. The motion has been moved and seconded. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? And then when she gets done getting those signatures, we'll go on with the updates and Jeff.
Ready?
We're running.
So we have three items to update you on. One, we will need a resolution on. One, we just need your input and a minute approval. The first is the acquisition of the potential future station on the Jacoby Farms property between Portville and McCordsville. When we first started talking about it, we thought a couple of acres, and it became about 3.3, 3.2, then it was 3.5. And then between the surveyor and I looking into it, there are two very substantial frontage setbacks off of both of those roads. And then spoke with chief, we superimposed a very unscientific method, the McCordsville station onto the site. Obviously, you can build in different configurations, but in order to acknowledge what those setbacks are going to be, you really can't pursue, nor would I advise pursuing variances for a building we don't even know what its size might be. It's coming out to be about 4 3/4 acres.
4 and what?
3/4, like 4.774. And we are at a rate of 50,000 per acre to pay to the Jacobys upon sale. Lori, Chief, Stacy, and I kind of internally discussed it, thought we had the plus over minus, the more or less little tag on everything, and I kind of stepped in, and that's more plus than minus for me, and it needed to be brought to you. It's going to be what did we come up with? About 70,000 more.
78,000 up to 78.
Up to 78,000 more. We won't know exactly until closing, but we thought that needed to be presented to you because we're a full acre and a quarter above our last estimate. I recommend getting it while you can.
Yes.
We've worked everything out. The surveyor's been very helpful. There was some stuff to the west of the site they've worked on. The Jacobys have been very collaborative in all of it. But we're looking to bring this to you, have you acknowledge it just with a minute acknowledgement. And then probably tomorrow or first of the week, I'm going to contact their counsel and look for something after my holiday before she leaves to close.
Okay.
So late April.
It's 78,000. Should we make it 80,000 or
Up to
up
78,000.
to?
That's what Stacy had recommended, but
Why don't you just make it,
make it 80.
Okay.
And just so I'm clear, there was an exhibit that Stacy sent out that had a couple of notations for pending takes around this house.
that is the thing that I indicated to the west, and that isn't really a take, that's more Crossroads comment. There is a recorded survey, and there are some things between the Jacobys and it's called the Bruce Scott Minor Subdivision
Okay.
that they still have to work out.
Okay.
What we did, in our wisdom was say, how about we put our line up to, but not including that, because they have some, if you look, they have that barn, and then
Mhm.
that's a shed, lean-to
Yeah.
on the back. You've
Yeah.
got a gravel drive and an encroachment. And I wouldn't be a very good real estate lawyer if I said buy into an existing property boundary dispute. And what this is doing, it's spurring them to go and sort their stuff out. It got put in that recorded survey. It was found.
Okay.
Because they asked us, hey, would you help ID this boundary issue? And we're like, well, it's already been done. So that will sort that out for them. It will not impact anything we're doing. And also too, we'll be oriented this direction because you can kind of faintly see it. There's just a little bit of a regulated drain that comes through here.
Mhm.
So you'll lay off you'll lay off like 75 feet. You've got to stay away from a regulated drain. So that'll just be kind of fallow over that direction. But
So in the Bruce Scott Minor, is that already a platted lot where the barn is at?
it is a minor subdivision that this was broken off of, but whoever, I don't wanna cast any suggestion about the quality of whoever did that, but whoever drew those lines drew them through a building.
Well, that's my question is if we draw our boundary line to the west, are we imposing
No, we're
a
staying-
condition where they have to have a variance for
No,
their barn?
we're staying full clear of that.
Okay.
We're staying out of their stuff, so.
Mhm.
And we've been told too, and this is a new thing as well, we will not have to subdivide. So that's good. It'll
Okay.
just be an existing parcel and that we will not have to go in for a subdivision. And so someday when everyone is ready to build that station, we just go get permits.
So how will the lot be platted?
They've said we will not have to, it will just exist
Will
as
our,
our parcel.
will our lender or the title company require it?
They're fine. I've already got pro forma title, so they're in good shape. I mean, I'll certainly double check and it's not gonna be a hard process, but I'm not gonna make them take our subdivision.
Hmm. Well, if they'll accept it, usually they want to plat, that's what I've experienced.
Me too. I was planning for it and we wrote the documents that they would consent and participate in the subdivision process. So we have it baked in that they'll play if we
Okay.
need to.
And since we're still a little mushy going back and forth from 4774, we think we're settled in on that?
I think that's gonna be it.
Okay.
He's got a gross number that I need to talk to him about because it includes the right of way and we're not buying the right of way again. I mean, that's already been, that's.
Has it been dedicated?
I mean, to the center line.
Oh, okay.
It's way dedicated.
Okay, okay.
So
Do we-
everything's gone really well.
Do we give up more right away though, when we?
No, I don't think we're gonna lose any right of way. We're not dedicating any, but those setbacks are pretty significant.
Yeah, okay.
It's a matter of fact, I think it's not just the setbacks. It accumulates to 100 feet because there's an existing 250 halves, so
Mhm.
50 half on each side here and 50 half on this side here. And then we've got a 50-foot setback off of that.
Okay.
And I think it's only like 25 feet or 24 feet of pavement, so it's a pretty decent right of way as it is. But I was kind of clicking around, it's that way through the whole area.
Mhm.
So we're not being treated any worse. That's just kind of how they've got the setbacks as it is. I also looked around just preliminarily when Crossroads brought it up, would there be a classification where if we zoned it, that we'd fit, would we be, that's just how it is, so.
We should mention that we did take this in front of the Fire Territory Board and it was referred to the Township Board with the affirmative.
Okay.
What was the original price we were gonna pay? Do we want that in the minutes of the original with the added acreage
I think we're
and,
based on 3.5 plus or minus
yeah,
3.5 acres.
I don't remember how much
And it was 50,000 an acre.
yeah,
50,000 an acre.
so
Or
that's,
I didn't print the email. I did kind of some fast math on it and I would agree with 78 number though.
okay.
And we know based on purchasing the property for the first station and for the station in McCordsville that
I believe it
it's
was-
not going to get better.
I
Oh,
believe-
yeah.
That, agreed.
And where you've been
Agreed.
involved with it, yeah, it's not going to get better. We thought we were gonna pay $1 million in McCordsville for property, and we were very fortunate with the way
Yeah,
all the parties worked with us. To get that type of sweetheart deal again is probably not going to happen.
right.
I believe it was 185,000 is what we originally.
That's what,
Sounds right.
that sounds right. I think it should be in the minutes and that we're adding an additional 80,000 with the added acreage, just so it's in the minutes. Is that okay?
Yeah, up to 80,000.
Okay.
And then once we have a final, obviously, we'll.
Would you object to just saying
Yeah.
an amount not to exceed $250,000?
Total.
Because that
That includes everything?
puts us at a rough nut, right? If you do the 4.774 is 238,700.
Okay,
Does that
What was it again?
238,700 at 4.774?
Yeah. Yes.
And what was the original 3.5? It was just 3.5 times 50?
Yeah.
Trying to do that in my head. 165?
175, you're close.
That's close.
So we're asking for the approval to go from 175 to 238.7.
250, just to
Oh,
make sure.
250, sorry.
It's an additional 75,000. I think that gets us more than clear on it. And I think while we don't want to spend any more than is necessary, you guys have learned, as Lori was saying, more than once the hard way.
Yeah.
Having a little more elbow room is, when the time comes, I think you'll be happy to have it.
mhm.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
And nothing's stopping us. When we get to that time, do you ask for a slight, setback variance? You still can get more usable space then. We just can't ask, we don't have a footprint. They're gonna say, well, what are you varying? They're not gonna guess at it either, so.
Mhm. Okay,
Do we need to make any reference to the original resolution? that
well, this will be a
authorizes-
new resolution,
I think
right?
you just do a minute entry and just acknowledge that you're modifying the approval to purchase up to 250.
Okay.
And unless if we can, which we're gonna try and do.
Okay, I will make a stab at this motion. So I move that we increase the original amount approved for land acquisition from $175,000 to $250,000 to acquire 4.77 approximate acres for a new fire station at 400 West and 700 North.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, now this is for your,
We should say that Tim was at the fire territory meeting, and so he is aware of
Okay.
this,
Yes.
and he was favorable, so.
anything else with this?
You've got some more legal?
On the authorization for temporary check signing authority, if you recall, you won't, you will. Our trustee globetrotted to Asia a few years ago, and we set up some check signing authority. And it was a little easier because our deputy was also our designee. Our deputy has decided she's enjoyed public life so much that she is on the school board, and we do not want to put her in any unusual situation that for a short period of time, she becomes the designee, because the code provides when you become the designee, you are, for that little period when the trustee is absent, you become the trustee, and you may have learned from here or other walks, you cannot have two lucrative positions in the state.
Correct.
So lucrative.
Correct.
We stretching the term lucrative to its limits. So the designee now is Jeff Augustinovich, and we know Jeff from the building corp,
Mhm.
and he has served very ably over there. And so we are going to crash course him into all the joys that he gets to be his designee. But State Board of Accounts requires duplication and redundancy on checks of a certain level. And so we need one of you. How do we set up for Mary Beth?
We've
Or
got-
Tim.
Well, yeah, we've got either on here.
Okay.
And so you might recall that we had Tim.
While you were in Asia.
However, when we had fraud on the account and we moved the bank account, he's no longer on it. So when I went in and checked, they were like, no, you gotta do that all over again. So we wanted, I know Tim's farming and you were very close. So we don't want to voluntold anybody, but
Yes.
we thought we'd open that up maybe for discussion with you and Tim over the next few weeks that we would get, and we should just have it. Noah had a very good point that we are working hard on making sure that we have backups on everything, that we are contingency planning on everything just in case. And so maybe this is a good test of the whole system.
I think it's a good idea in all respects, and you're not going to be punished for the redundancy.
And I want to emphasize, and as I have every time I have traveled, I have always stayed in touch. And my concerns are, obviously, there is a war going on, and I think that could potentially shut down airports. And I am concerned that when I am in the mountain portion of this, I might not have any communications access. So I expect the vast majority of the time I will continue to be in touch, but I expect I could have a few days, and we have rules that we have to meet. We're gonna be talking about township assistance in a few minutes, and we have a 72-hour response time on those, and I would not want to be responsible for something not happening.
So does this say if we have a check more than $5,000 that needs to be paid while you're out, that both Tim and Mary Beth need to sign it?
No, so Stacy would, or actually, I think we determined Jeff would need to sign, and either
Oh, sorry. Okay.
One of the-
Stacy or
One of the three. So we've got quadundancy. We've got a board member, and if Stacy's unavailable or sick or something, because Stacy is our redundancy now. There always has to be a check on the check.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think I said that right. A check on every fiscal action we do, State Board of Accounts requires it. So we will then, if Tim's not reachable, we've got you. If you're not reachable, we've got Tim. And we always have Stacy, but we will have to have the designee. The designee is the trustee for all intents and purposes, and the trustee is statutorily obligated to pay the claims of the township. So we're being quadruply careful.
we have not figured out the ACH portion of it yet, but by our next meeting, we will have figured out how to do that, because that is online. And I think, as we've talked about before, but one person sets it up, the other person initiates. That way, there's no
That's your two.
opportunity. Mhm. We show a lot of caution.
Do we need to sign anything with that? What's
Yes,
this
we
resolution?
need the resolution voted on.
What's the resolution number?
2026-3-26A.
Okay.
And then Jeff, would I attest to something that I am,
You can attest to that. All attestation is that you are confirming it as a valid record of the
Okay.
township that you keep in its records. So you're not, there's no conflict.
Is this the official?
it is.
Okay.
Okay. I move that we approve resolution number 2026-3-26A. Resolution of the Township Board of Vernon Township, Hancock County, Indiana, to authorize temporary check signing authority.
Okay, I second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Chief had something you wanted to add on the land.
When you guys, I'm sorry, when you were reading numbers, I was just going back to look. I think you initially mentioned that the initial was 175. It was actually 185. And then another 80 would be actually 265,000 maximum instead of what you had read.
I went off of 4.774 times 50. And that took us to 238,700.
But Stacy had some additional fees in here for the survey, the costs and things like that.
Okay.
So that's why we had so I
Okay.
think if we added the original 80,000 now to the 238 or the original 185, it should be 265,000 max.
We should do what covers it.
Yeah.
Cause I don't know exactly what the title, they're gonna be thousands, not hundreds, but, and we do have an $8,000 bill for the survey.
Yeah, so that's why those are in there. So if you could,
So can I amend my motion?
You may.
I'd like to move that we reference the original approved amount for $185,000 and increase it to the amount of $265,000.
I second that. All in favor,
Aye.
all opposed? Okay, that should be enough, okay.
morning, Stacy.
No, I trust what
I
she says.
trust it.
Okay, any old business?
Do we have any other legal?
We had a very good resolution of the mediation.
Oh.
We have also a non-disclosure clause of that, so I'll just say, we had a very good resolution of the mediation.
Okay, good.
And then, do you want to go on the guideline now?
Yes, please. And just to set this up, I sent out the link for the township assistance guidelines for homework for April.
Yeah.
And we asked Jeff to take a look at those just to say, have there been any changes legislatively, or as we've looked at the situations that we have worked on over the past 2 years, do we need to make any evolution in our guidelines?
We reviewed them. You've heard from us and Flory. You did an excellent job at the legislature this year, and while townships were extraordinarily hot topic, township assistance was a cold topic. It wasn't hotly contested or anything. But we have seen more and more, and Mary Beth, you may remember Steve Bushman as my predecessor. Here and there, people would get into situations where they would give assistance and then lien property if it was the requesting party's own property. And I have done the search to try and find out, where's the code and the authority for that. I'm not finding much, but there is a case called Van Buskirk that says there are those that, and these are differing opinions, that do try to make assistance quite limited. I think assistance should be scrutinized, and that's the thing that trustees provide much better investigation than welfare. But you have to do the most efficient thing you can that eliminates human suffering. And there have been times where I can't get into details because it was a administered file. But the right thing to do was to assist someone with a capital item on property they own. They were getting an essential service for life, an essential service for habitability from a hose or extension cord from the neighbor's house, and that's bad. That's bad. And so the circumstances were such that the trustee did assist on that, and we took back what's called a consensual lien, meaning they agreed to allow us to place the lien. And so I think we need to have the guidelines modified that in those instances. And there was another instance where we declined. The person was perhaps not adjusting lifestyle, and had substantial equity in the property and could have gone other ways. This other person had some hardships beyond her control, had some dependence, and was really kind of a tough situation. So we did go with the consensual lien. And I think the right thing to do is under home rule, you can do the guidelines and a bit more in that I'd like to see it in there, because as soon as someone maybe later might go and say, yeah, you did provide that assistance, we'd like to have that in there and make it clear. Beyond that, assistance is not a highly active topic, other than in the discussion this year about what was going to happen with townships. They all wanted to do that job except assistance. They were all,
And cemeteries.
right. They had no part of that. So two-thirds of your portfolio, they had no interest in doing. So anyway, happy to answer any questions. And I think
So you want consensual liens
I just
included in that?
approve as we've modified, and
Okay.
that's been added in.
Okay,
And so we will update that into the guidelines that are presently online, and next month we will bring that for vote. It's so long, I did want to give everybody the opportunity, and everybody does need to be aware of what's in those guidelines. The applicants do have the option to appeal if they are turned down, and I haven't had an appeal yet. We came close, but we haven't had one in the past 7 years. But we want to make sure that if we go in front of the court, that we have really specified, here's what we are basing our judgments on.
So that I'm clear, like the root issue is like, let's say we give $1,000 to somebody to pay their electric bill, then we're just looking for a method to be paid back for the $1,000?
No, on
It's a property improvement
Yeah.
issue. We are not allowed to pay for a property to be improved because that increases the value of that property. So they could go and sell it. And glean that equity in it. What we're saying is if we're improving your home because it is a necessity for you to survive.
Okay.
And I would use like examples of roof,
Windows.
window is a big deal,
yeah,
yes.
Okay.
Things where, it's critical that they have it. Then it doesn't force us to take the lien if they sell, but it gives us the option to. And so, oh my gosh, there's been multiple situations. And if we would come to the point where we have to make a decision on a lien, we're probably bringing that to the board to say, here are the circumstances we recommend yes, or we recommend no.
Would that lien though have to happen within a certain time frame after the assistance is given?
Since it's consensual, and I've seen others do this, and it makes me a little queasy. They have to sign it. It would almost be that they're acknowledging. I don't want to do anything like a mechanics lien where we just
That's what I was
we
thinking.
just go and do it, and
Yeah.
it's somebody said, well, why'd you do that? I mean, how did you do that? There are some spots in the code where it does say you can lien by right when it's someone is living in a relative's property, and it gets very narrow and convoluted. And so I've just seen it pop up here and there from others. And I would like for you to, if you're gonna do it, I don't think we're gonna do it any more than we ever would before. It's pretty rare. Most people
It
are
is
coming
rare.
for utility or rental
4
assistance.
times in the past 7 years.
Most of it's utility or rental assistance. They get that assistance and there's nothing coming back. You got the assistance and qualified. But what you're balancing it against, and it's this Van Buskirk case of, it was a fight over, we only do rental assistance, and Van Buskirk's like, no, you can pay mortgages. You can't beg off. And, that we would look at it as, is this the most efficient way to handle this? Does putting them in a shelter or a hotel or some other accommodation solve this problem? I think too, all the other principles would apply as well. You go through a matrix of, can I refer them to some other place? Is there other assistance? Is there TANF? Is there this? Is there ecumenical support from churches and all that? When we are the help of last resort. But sometimes it gets to the last
It
resort.
does. It does.
Okay. Thank you.
So I make the motion that we accept the township assistant guidelines as modified.
Second that.
All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, now, is that everything?
That's all I've got.
Just on the farmer's market coming here, we have been working with their board, which is newly constituted. And I have reached out to Jeff for advisement on what our contract should look like with them. We want copies of their contracts with the vendors, and we have also reached out to insurance to make certain that we are appropriately covered if it comes here.
So that just was coming as information.
It's just information. at
And
this
then,
point.
was there any old business? Or new business? No? Well, I make the motion that we close this meeting at 6:08 PM.
So you can just close it, right? I'll second it.
Yeah.
And our next meeting will be April 15th.
Yay. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man.